Hey everyone, great to see you. I'm very excited to be speaking to you today. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there in person, but hopefully next year. Today I'm going to be talking about the Filecoin master plan. Don't tell anyone; it's a secret. As you know, Web3 brings trust to internet interactions. You can think of Web3 as the next stage of the web. Web 1.0 was a read-only static medium. Web 2.0 brought read-write and interactivity and dynamic applications. And now Web3 is bringing verifiability. And using that verifiability, we can build trustable applications. Now, Web3 needs to scale to proper web scale in order to cross the chasm and onboard all the applications that we use day to day. So today, most of the applications you use are Web 2 applications. And that's because right now Web3 has focused on building the underlying transactional primitives, but hasn't built for the level of scale that Web 2 requires. So we have a bunch of problems to solve in this scalability question to be able to reach proper web scale. Now, the mission of Filecoin is to build a decentralized, efficient, and robust foundation for humanity's information. Filecoin is a crypto-powered storage network. It is the storage network of Web3, and it is growing massively. And today, what I'm going to talk about is what we like to call the master plan, which is basically 3 steps. Each of these steps can take many years, but each of these steps enables us to build a massive scale decentralized storage network with humanity's data and with computation. So step 1 is to build the world's largest decentralized storage network. And we've done that. This took many years to build and execute and get to deploy at large scale. And really happy to be able to look back and see that we have the largest scale decentralized storage network. And it's just so big that it can actually compete with centralized cloud storage companies. So we have already 17 exabytes of capacity around the world. This is a massive scale to be able to store people's data. This is distributed all over the world in many different locations, primarily in areas like Asia, Europe, and North America. South America and Africa are just getting started, but we hope to see a lot more growth there in the coming years. But already this is a massive scale network that can already deal with web scale traffic. But it's also growing daily. So it's growing by a very large amount of storage every single day. Right now, the network is growing at about 13 petabytes per day, which is a huge amount of capacity onboarding. And when you look across the different segments of storage providers, the various segments are growing over time. So storage providers are able to take the returns that they make over time and then grow their operations and be able to serve more and more users. Now, many other programs that are out there enabling new storage providers to join the network. ESPA, which is a storage provider accelerator program, content and materials out there, making it easier and easier for new storage providers all around the world to come online. Now, one really key component in any storage network is to be able to make sure that all of the data used is green. And we do that through a project called Filecoin Green that enables us to measure all of the energy use across the network, and then couple that to renewable energy certificates. So there's a huge effort from our community to make sure that as we use energy around the world, we're making sure that that's coming from renewable resources, and we're able to make sure that the energy use around the world devoted to storage is green. And we're super happy that Filecoin is a massive leader here. And if we can push this momentum, we can get to decarbonizing crypto and through that decarbonizing the world. Now, step 2, which is where most of our attention is right now, is about onboarding humanity's data and growing to massive scale data onboarding pipelines. So we do that through a couple of big components. One is a series of on-ramps, and these are specific applications or programs that enable large-scale data onboarding, and through a program called Filecoin Plus. So all of these together are resulting in this massive scale data onboarding across the network. So already we started the year with around 20 petabytes of data use, and we're now all the way up to 185, which is a massive scale growth in just a few short 9 months. And we're now probably the most exciting graph to look at across the entire network is that bottom left graph that shows the growth in usage over time. So we're now onboarding on the scale of 1 to 2 petabytes of user data into the network, and this makes it the largest decentralized storage network by far. This is orders of magnitude larger than the next decentralized storage network, and is already getting to be competitive with centralized cloud storage providers. So this is Web3 scaling to meet Web2 needs. And so this is super exciting. Now, what are people using it for? So all kinds of things, everything from, think of Web3 application objects where, systems like Web3 storage is enabling tens of thousands of users to store millions of objects, like I think on the order of like 50 million objects stored in this particular on-ramp. And then on-ramps like NFT storage enables around 60,000 users to store 90 million NFTs. And so this is all of the assets and static assets associated with NFTs. So this is images and video and metadata files and so on. Then there's systems like personal storage applications. So think of traditional consumer-oriented data storage drives. So think of systems like Dropbox and similar, where you're able to store your personal files or your company's files. There's several applications already building and growing in that area. Fleek storage, chain save files, slate numbers, and so on. There's already also a number of applications onboarding different media use cases. So this is video or music or other media applications. One of the ones I'm most excited about is Huddle, where enables proper peer-to-peer decentralized video conferencing platform where you can record your meetings and store them and serve them through Filecoin, which is a super exciting thing for the network. And we also have many different games and applications starting to develop on top of Filecoin, including metaverse systems where the entire rooms and environments are whole 3D worlds are being built and minted as NFTs on Filecoin, and you can link across these and distribute them to users and so on. So these kinds of applications and use cases are super exciting to watch. We expect to see a lot of building around games and metaverses in the next 2 years, and so we anticipate that there's going to be lots of different Web3 applications that come online on Filecoin, enabling people to have many kinds of interactions in these environments. We also have major scale Web2 data sets coming online. So this is, think of large scale data science users who want to be able to archive large scale data and then be able to run computing pipelines on top of that. So for example, there's major universities like Berkeley onboarding massive scale, multi-petabyte data sets into Filecoin. So this is one particular experiment that's super exciting, where a neutrino experiment that is producing vast quantities of data is going to be onboarding all their data into Filecoin as the experiments as the data comes out of the experiments, pipe it all the way into Filecoin for long-term archival and then data science use. So this is a super exciting set of use cases, and we can't wait to grow more with many other universities like these. We're also seeing a number of cities and public civic data sets come online. So this is, imagine the use cases where there's a city or a government that has important community-oriented data and data sets that need long-term archival, that need better governance structures and so on. Filecoin's a perfect network for that kind of use case, and we're already seeing this in use through various different programs. This one in particular is the New York City putting large-scale open data sets on Filecoin, and there's many other cities that are following suit. A lot of this growth is enabled by Filecoin crypto economics and programs like Filecoin Plus that enable a decentralized storage network to compete with the cloud storage prices of massive scale giants like Amazon and the other centralized cloud providers. So this is kind of the amazing superpower that decentralized networks can have, like this crypto economic construction that enables that kind of growth. And it's also powering new kinds of business models and new kinds of economic structures. One super exciting one is the ability to have auctions for data sets, auctioning to try and get the best possible storage price to store your data. And in some cases, being able to have negatively priced storage, which is a super exciting condition where while the Filecoin network has more capacity than data use, it's actually really advantageous for storage providers to store your data, therefore data set owners can bring the data to the network and then get rewarded, get a share of the rewards for bringing that super valuable data. So it's a super amazing economic condition that is enabled by cryptoeconomics and by the conditions of the Filecoin network. So this is super exciting. We think that this kind of structure is what's going to enable a whole new range of DAOs to come online. We're calling these data DAOs. Think of being able to couple an important data commons, a digital data commons, but now with the governance tooling and systems to be able to use on-chain primitives to govern how the data gets used, how it gets transformed, how it is shared amongst users, and so on, and eventually monetized. So we think of these data DAO systems are going to be able to collect a lot of really valuable data, curated over time, and then enable it to be transacted and monetized and so on through on-chain DAO primitives. And so we sort of anticipate that this kind of thing will start growing in 2023 and 2024. One super exciting area is now that we have the large-scale storage network, being able to provide super fast retrieval on the network. And so we want to get to CDN level quality with sub-second retrieval. The alpha version of retrieval markets is starting to come online now. There are several alpha programs that you can participate in. So stay tuned for these things. I hope to be here next year and be able to point to large volumes of data moving at sub-second delivery. That would be an amazing result to get Filecoin to have CDN delivery. One other super exciting thing is the growth of the startup builder ecosystem around Filecoin. So there's a ton of support for builders of new systems and new applications, everything from developer resources to hackathons to early stage grants, and then accelerators and ecosystem investors. This creates this makes Filecoin an amazing opportunity environment for anybody that wants to get started in Web3, that wants to build a new project or build a new application. There's a lot of support structures for people to get started. So if you're a builder thinking about jumping into Web3, come join our community. And just as an example, we're now at the scale of having many hundreds or over 400 organizations building on the network, and at the scale of 2,000 projects and counting. So it's super, super exciting level of growth year over year. And so that brings us to step 3, and that's kind of the horizons, what's coming next for development and so on. And that's to bring computation to the data. This is so that we can enable large-scale web-scale applications. And there's a large-scale core improvements roadmap that you can find, and this is shared in a bunch of different places. But one huge track here is the FVM programmability and computation track. The first part of bringing computation to the data is to enable smart contracts, user smart contracts and programmability on Filecoin, and this is happening with the FVM. We already passed the first upgrade that enables the recomposed FVMs, the recomposed Filecoin's VM system on top of the FVM, and that launched already. And the next milestone is to bring user programmability into the network, and that's going to happen in Q1. Now, in between now and Q1, there's going to be a series of testnets that enable lots of teams to get started and start building. There's already 25 teams of tool builders that are building on the first of those. There's future cohorts coming. So if you're excited, if you want to try out all of the FVM tooling early, definitely reach out and join those programs. One super exciting thing that is getting built out is compatibility with EVM. So you can take your EVM contracts and deploy them directly in Filecoin as they are without having to change, ideally without having to change anything, and at most maybe deployment pathways and so on. Then after that, once we have the FVM and we have user smart contracts, we can bring large-scale computational pipelines to the data. This is finally what's going to enable us to have massive Web 2 scale applications, being able to do the kinds of computations that Web 2 systems do in their backends. Think of the massive scale data processing pipelines of a platform like Twitter or Twitch or YouTube or TikTok or WeChat or systems like that that have to deal with tons of processing of data underneath in the data center. That's what's blocking Web 3 from scaling. And we think that this is going to come through computation networks. And so we're building Filecoin to be a phenomenal L1 for these kinds of computational networks. We anticipate that there's going to be many different computational networks because there are very difficult trade-offs between verifiability, performance, and privacy. Like if you want to have very high performance systems, then you have to trade off verifiability and privacy against that. If you want to have strong verifiability, you can do things like zero knowledge proofs, but that trades off against performance. And those don't necessarily give you privacy of all the data that you want to compute. If you want to do that, then you have to start doing things like fully homomorphic encryption and other kinds of primitives. So we think this very difficult trade-off space of technologies is going to yield many different computational networks that tune for different use cases and tune for different primitives. And we're building Filecoin to be the best L1 for all of these computational networks. So if you're excited to either build applications using this tooling, or you're potentially going to build one of these compute networks, come do it in our ecosystem. One other very important piece here is that Filecoin is meant to be building bridges to all of the other blockchains in the space. Filecoin is inherently highly collaborative. It is the only storage network that can scale to exabytes level of capacity and data use. And so we want to be the main storage place where all of the other blockchains store and compute on the data that they're gathering. Now, one of the things that I'm most excited about in the long term is to be able to have large-scale scalability of consensus. So most of the next generation blockchains are hitting on the range of hundreds of transactions per second. There are finally some groups starting to think about millions. I think we need to go dramatically higher. I think we need to get to billions and trillions of transactions per second. And so that's what we're shooting for. We're building an architecture around consensus scalability that'll scale to that level of possibility, and that can be able to deal with partitions in the internet. So there are all kinds of circumstances by which you end up with partitioned regions of the internet that needs to be capable of dealing with applications and enable applications to work through those kinds of breaks. And so that's a super exciting area of research and development that we're going to be super excited to present on in the coming year. Now, all of this put together is going to enable this massive scale data science platform where you can do, think of large scale pipelines, like all kinds of analysis and machine learning and so on, directly on top of the data that you're storing on Filecoin. And then from there, you can get to proper web scale applications. So think of all of your favorite applications and think of the vast quantities of data that they generate and the vast quantities of computation that needs to happen on top of that data. That's what we're building Filecoin for. It's been a long road, but it's super exciting that we have achieved step one. We're now working on step 2 and step 3. Step 2 is already showing an amazing scale up through this year, going from 20 petabytes to now close to 200, which is super exciting. And now the layer of computational primitives like FEM, compute over data, and consensus scalability to properly enable web scale applications. So you heard it here. This is the Filecoin master plan. And that's what's going to enable us to properly cross the chasm and make Web3 capable of taking on Web2 applications. One final plug to join our community and come hang out with us. There's been already 3 major Filecoin events around the world. There was FIL Austin, FIL Toronto, and FIL Seoul. The next one is FIL Singapore, and that's going to happen next week. And then after that, FIL Lisbon. FIL Singapore is a huge event. There's, I think, on the order of 20 different side events, and there's, I think, like 2,000 people coming already, which is like super amazing. So come join us over there. Tons of different ecosystem partners and exciting speakers will be there. One of the side events around FIL Singapore is FIL.vc. It's a demo day to enable you to meet some of the best startups in Web3. After that, we have FIL Lisbon from October 30th to November 4th, which is going to be a huge event in Lisbon to round out the year. Now, who knows? Maybe there will be more Filecoin-oriented events around the world. So that's it. That's it from me. Great to see you. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and see you next year. Bye.